Have you ever noticed how quickly one person's bad mood can change the entire atmosphere of a room? You might walk into work feeling fine, but then someone sighs heavily and mutters, "This day is already terrible," and suddenly your own sense of calm starts to slip. Or maybe you've scrolled through social media and stumbled across an angry post. Even though it had nothing to do with you, a shadow of irritation stayed with you long after you put your phone down. This is not your imagination. Negative thoughts and emotions really do behave like a kind of social virus, quietly spreading from one person to another. This topic matters because negativity does more than affect an individual's state of mind. It influences families, friendships, workplaces, and even whole communities. A single thought spoken aloud can plant seeds that grow into worry, stress, or frustration in the people who hear it. Understanding why this happens gives us a new kind of power. Just as knowing how germs spread helps us prevent illness, recognizing how negative thoughts travel allows us to take control before they overwhelm our mental environment. The reason negativity spreads so easily lies in the way our brains are wired. Psychologists call it the negativity bias. From an evolutionary perspective, it was more important for our ancestors to notice threats than to relax and enjoy safety. If you were living thousands of years ago, failing to react to a rustling in the bushes could mean missing a predator and putting your life at risk. That instinct to prioritize the negative helped humans survive. The problem is that today we carry the same tendency even when we are no longer facing constant life or death threats. This means our minds hold on to criticism longer than compliments, replay awkward conversations more often than kind ones, and pass along complaints faster than praise. Think about it this way. You could receive 10 pieces of positive feedback in a day, but if one person criticizes you, that single comment will likely echo in your head long into the night. The brain treats it as urgent, demanding attention, and so you repeat it to yourself or to others. By doing so, you keep the negative thought alive, and in the process, you share it like a contagion. Another layer to this effect is what psychologists call emotional contagion. Humans are naturally social creatures, tuned to the feelings of those around us. When a person laughs wholeheartedly, others often smile or laugh too without even thinking about it. But this same mirroring happens with sighs, groans, or complaints. If a coworker is anxious, chances are the people sitting nearby will begin to feel more on edge themselves. If one member of a family is irritated, the mood around the dinner table can quickly sour. Negativity doesn't just exist inside one person's head, it leaps outward and reshapes the emotional climate for everyone else. This tendency becomes even more visible in modern settings like the workplace. A manager who constantly highlights problems instead of possibilities can slowly drain an entire team. Productivity slips, creativity shrinks, and morale sinks. On the other hand, leaders who consciously spread optimism and gratitude can inspire motivation and resilience, showing that while negativity spreads easily, positivity can also move powerfully if we choose it. Technology adds another twist. Social media platforms amplify whatever gains the most attention, and anger, outrage, and fear are particularly contagious online. One negative headline or bitter argument can be shared thousands of times within minutes, leaving people across the world feeling anxious or upset about something they never would have encountered otherwise. When you consume this kind of content often, your own worldview darkens, and without realizing it, you may pass that mood on to friends, co-workers, or family members through your words and actions. Recognizing all of this is important because it shifts how we see our own role. We may believe that our private thoughts are ours alone, but the reality is that they spill outward constantly, shaping the tone of conversations and relationships. A single moment of unchecked negativity can ripple outward far beyond what we intended. But the good news is that by becoming aware of how this works, we can also interrupt the pattern. Just as washing our hands reduces the spread of germs, paying attention to our thoughts reduces the spread of negativity. So the question becomes, what can we do about it? If negativity behaves like a virus, what are the vaccines, the barriers, the healthy habits that can stop it from moving so freely between people? The first step begins with awareness, training ourselves to notice our thoughts before they take control. In the next part, we'll explore how cultivating awareness works in practice and why it can be such a powerful antidote to negativity. If negativity is like a virus, then awareness is the first line of defense. The simple act of noticing our thoughts before they escape into the world can stop the spread in ways that are surprisingly powerful. Too often, we run on autopilot. We complain about the weather, we replay an awkward interaction, or we grumble about work without realizing how much weight we are adding to the air around us. But the moment we pause and ask ourselves, what am I thinking right now, and is it something I want to pass on? We begin to reclaim control. That small shift changes everything. Awareness works because it creates space. Normally, a thought triggers an emotion, and that emotion spills outward through our words, tone, or body language. But when we are aware, we insert a pause between thought and action. That pause gives us the power to decide. Imagine being cut off in traffic. Without awareness, the immediate reaction might be anger, maybe even shouting inside the car. But with awareness, you notice the frustration rising and recognize it for what it is, a passing state of mind. You breathe, let the wave settle, and continue driving without carrying that anger into the rest of your day. The science backs this up. Studies in mindfulness show that people who regularly practice awareness report lower stress, greater focus, and better relationships. What's happening is not the removal of negative thoughts but the recognition of them. Instead of being dragged around by them, people become observers. They see the thought, name it for what it is, and then let it move along. In doing so, they stop it from leaking out into conversations and interactions where it could infect others. Awareness also prevents what psychologists call rumination. Rumination is the habit of replaying a negative thought again and again, almost like picking at a wound. It never allows healing. When we are not aware, rumination can take over entire evenings or weeks. But with awareness, we can catch the loop as it begins and gently shift our focus. For example, if someone criticizes you at work, your mind may want to chew on those words for hours. But awareness allows you to step back and say, "That's just one opinion. I don't need to relive it endlessly." By doing so, you protect not only your peace of mind but also the mood of everyone you might otherwise unload onto. What's important to remember is that awareness does not mean ignoring or suppressing feelings. Negative emotions are part of life, and pretending they don't exist only makes them stronger. Awareness is about seeing those emotions clearly, acknowledging them, and then choosing how to respond. If you are angry, awareness might help you express that anger in a calm conversation rather than in an outburst. If you are sad, awareness might lead you to seek comfort instead of hiding the sadness and letting it spill out as irritability. This makes awareness an act of responsibility. Just as you cover your mouth when you feel a cough coming on, you can cover your mind by noticing when negativity is about to escape. Imagine a parent coming home after a stressful day. Without awareness, they might snap at their children, setting off a chain of tension that lasts through the evening. With awareness, they notice the stress as they walk through the door, take a breath, and decide to share it differently, maybe by saying, "I had a tough day, and I need a moment to relax." That small choice changes the entire tone of the household. Awareness is not always easy, but it is simple. One helpful way to build it is by practicing short pauses throughout the day. Before responding to an email, before answering the phone, before walking into a meeting, take a breath and notice your state of mind. Over time, these pauses become natural, and the awareness they bring becomes second nature. The benefits ripple outward. A person who cultivates awareness often becomes a grounding presence in their family or workplace. Others feel calmer around them because they are not reacting impulsively to every irritation. In a sense, awareness not only stops the spread of negativity but also strengthens immunity against it. People feel safer, conversations become lighter, and the environment becomes healthier. So the first and most crucial solution to negativity spreading like a virus is awareness. By paying attention to what we think and how we express it, we stop ourselves from passing along unnecessary pain. And while this may sound small, the impact is enormous. Every time you choose to be aware, you break a chain reaction that could have traveled far beyond you. This first step opens the door to something even more transformative. Awareness doesn't just stop negativity, it creates room for something better to take its place. And in the next part, we'll explore how to fill that space with energy that uplifts and heals rather than drags down. Because once you learn how to notice negativity, the natural next move is learning how to actively replace it with something far stronger. Awareness is the starting point, but it is only the beginning. Once we learn to notice negativity before it takes over, the next step is learning how to actively redirect our focus towards something healthier. The second key move in protecting ourselves and others from the spread of negativity is reframing. Reframing means changing the way we interpret events, shifting the perspective from one that drains us to one that strengthens us. At first, this may sound like nothing more than positive thinking, but it goes deeper than that. Reframing does not mean pretending that bad things are good or ignoring the struggles of life. Instead, it means choosing to look at situations through a lens that empowers rather than weakens us. When we reframe, we don't deny reality. We simply decide which angle of reality to focus on. Imagine two coworkers facing the same situation. Their project deadline has been moved up, and they suddenly have twice as much work to do in half the time. One reacts with negativity, saying, "This is impossible. We are going to fail. Management doesn't respect us." Their words and mood spread to the rest of the team, and soon everyone feels defeated before even starting. The other coworker, however, reframes the situation. "This will be tough, but it's a chance to prove how much we can accomplish when we work together." That perspective doesn't erase the challenge, but it sets a completely different emotional tone. Instead of spreading fear and frustration, it spreads motivation and resilience. This is the heart of reframing. It's about catching the moment where negativity could grow and flipping it into something more constructive. Think of it like opening a window in a stuffy room. The air is heavy and stale, but with one simple shift, fresh air flows in and the whole space feels lighter. Daily life is full of opportunities to reframe. You spill coffee on your shirt before an important meeting. One perspective says, "My whole day is ruined. I look ridiculous." Another perspective says, "It's not ideal, but it's also not the end of the world. At least I can laugh at myself and show that I don't take everything too seriously." That shift may seem small, but it determines whether you carry embarrassment or lightness into the rest of your day. Even larger struggles can be reframed. Take the example of someone recovering from an illness. The negative frame focuses on everything that has been lost: time, energy, opportunities. The reframed perspective, though still honest, highlights growth. "This experience taught me patience, reminded me to value my health, and showed me how strong my support system really is." The illness remains difficult, but the way it is viewed transforms it into a source of resilience rather than despair. Reframing also works powerfully in relationships. Consider a parent whose teenager snaps at them after school. The immediate reaction might be anger. "How dare they speak to me like that?" That anger can spread quickly, infecting the entire evening. But if the parent reframes the situation, they might think, "My child had a hard day and doesn't yet know how to manage their emotions. This isn't really about me." With that frame, instead of escalating, the parent might respond with patience. The negativity that could have spread throughout the family is stopped before it even begins. Science again confirms the value of this shift. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most widely studied psychological treatments, is built on the principle of reframing. People who learn to reinterpret their thoughts in healthier ways report fewer symptoms of anxiety and depression. Their brains actually begin to respond differently to stress, reinforcing the idea that perspective shapes experience. Reframing doesn't mean we suddenly enjoy difficulties. It means we refuse to let them define the entire story. Challenges can be acknowledged without surrendering to them. By choosing how to frame our experiences, we take back the narrative and prevent negativity from becoming the loudest voice in the room. It takes practice, of course. Our natural instinct is often to dwell on what went wrong, but with awareness and a deliberate choice to reframe, the balance begins to shift. Over time, reframing becomes a habit. And the more we practice it, the more we become the kind of person who brings calm, perspective, and encouragement wherever we go. Awareness stops negativity from spilling outward. Reframing takes it a step further by transforming the energy into something positive, something that uplifts rather than infects. Together, these two practices build a strong foundation for resilience in a world where negativity constantly threatens to spread. In the final section, we'll look at the third move, a step that goes beyond noticing and reframing, and focuses on how to actively create and spread positivity. Because stopping the virus of negativity is important, but building an environment of hope, strength, and independence is what ensures we stay emotionally healthy in the long run. If awareness helps us catch negativity before it spreads, and reframing allows us to transform it into something lighter, then the final and perhaps most powerful move is learning how to deliberately spread positivity. Think of it as creating your own vaccine for the emotional environment around you. Negativity may travel quickly, but positivity has its own contagious power. When we choose to share encouragement, gratitude, and kindness, we build an atmosphere that strengthens people rather than drains them. Spreading positivity doesn't mean pretending life is always wonderful. It's about consciously planting seeds of hope and appreciation even in ordinary moments. A simple thank you to a cashier, a smile at a stranger, or a kind word to a coworker can shift the energy in surprising ways. These gestures may feel small, but they echo outward, often far beyond what we can see. Just as one negative comment can sour an entire room, one act of kindness can brighten it. Consider a personal example many people can relate to. Imagine a grandparent spending time with their grandchildren. The day may be filled with little frustrations. The child spills juice, a toy breaks, there's noise, and chaos. If the grandparent focuses only on what's going wrong, the day becomes heavy. But if they choose to highlight the joy of simply being together, to laugh at the spills and celebrate the moments of play, they spread warmth and love. The children carry that feeling with them, and the household becomes one of comfort rather than tension. Gratitude is one of the strongest tools for spreading positivity. When we express thanks, we shift attention away from what is missing and toward what is already present. Research shows that people who practice gratitude regularly experience greater well-being and stronger relationships. More importantly, gratitude is infectious. If you tell a friend, "I really appreciate how you've been there for me," chances are they will feel uplifted and more likely to express gratitude themselves. One spark of appreciation can ignite a chain reaction of goodwill. Another powerful way to spread positivity is through encouragement. Words of support can change the way someone sees themselves and their challenges. Imagine an older friend who feels discouraged about learning new technology. If you say, "It's too complicated for you," that negativity might stick with them for years. But if you say, "You're doing great, and I know you'll get the hang of it," you give them confidence that carries forward. Encouragement is like passing along emotional strength, and it multiplies as it travels. The truth is that negativity will always exist. It is part of life. But choosing to spread positivity means deciding that you will not be the carrier of the virus. You become, instead, a source of healing. And the impact of that decision is far greater than it may seem. A single smile may soften the day of someone silently struggling. A kind word may stop someone from giving up. A calm presence may inspire others to stay steady in the face of difficulty. This is especially important as we grow older, because seniors often serve as emotional anchors in families and communities. Younger generations look to them for guidance and stability. By choosing to spread positivity, seniors can remind others that strength does not mean ignoring hardship, but rather facing it with dignity, patience, and hope. In this way, they leave behind not just memories but a legacy of resilience. When we step back and look at the big picture, the lesson becomes clear. Negative thoughts spread like a virus because our brains are wired to notice them, and our social nature makes us vulnerable to catching them. But we are not powerless. With awareness, we stop negativity from escaping unchecked. With reframing, we transform challenges into opportunities for growth. And with positivity, we create an environment that lifts people up instead of pulling them down. In the end, each of us has a choice. We can be passive carriers of negativity, letting frustration, anger, and fear flow through us into others. Or we can become intentional spreaders of hope, gratitude, and strength. The difference may seem subtle, but it can change households, workplaces, and communities. Every word, every gesture, every small act becomes part of a ripple that touches lives in ways we may never fully know. So the next time you feel negativity rising, remember, you don't have to pass it on. You can notice it, reframe it, and choose to spread something better. And in doing so, you not only protect your own peace of mind, you also help create a world where people feel lighter, stronger, and more independent. That is the true antidote to negativity, the conscious choice to turn every interaction into an opportunity to heal rather than to harm.